What's up, guys? Welcome back to Select Few Podcast. Today we are going to be going over Walter's journey and all the steps and trials and tribulations that got him to the point that we're at today.
Well, I appreciate that introduction, right? It sounded like the most forced
Yeah, it was good.
introduction ever, right? But that's the beauty of this, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be eventually a live podcast,
Right.
where we just literally say the most random stuff ever,
Right.
right?
Can't wait.
So we got this
Terrified.
we got this producer Friday who's had his mic on set up, doesn't put his cable on, so
Yeah,
he
he
can't
doesn't
even
want
chime
time.
in.
He's scared.
Like he can't even do ad libs, right? So it's
Yeah.
like this is the most raw podcast you're gonna walk into, right? I don't know if you're gonna walk into it or if you're gonna listen to it, but something's gonna happen,
Right.
right?
So let's strap in.
Strap in, enjoy the ride,
Of course.
right? It's a great journey.
Absolutely.
So you brought up my journey on
Your
what?
journey, and what I mean by that is, where we got to the point we're at now, which is a successful spray foam insulation company, insulation in general. And so once you got past the point of, normal menial jobs, where did this path start to get to this point?
I just I fell into it because I was trying to raise a family, right? It's a struggle out there to make a living. Family of two at the time, right? Then three, then four, right? So I was working two jobs, 80 hours a week, and I needed to find something that I can have one job, have a little bit more time, right? So I was working at this like telemarketing firm, right, doing 900 collect calls. Like
Was that Aries?
that was
that?
that
What's
was
that place in Sierra
that
Vista?
was Aegis.
Aegis. That's
So
what it is.
Aegis telemarketing, right? So
Yeah.
I go in there and I'm like doing direct TV type stuff, and they're like, "Oh, you did pretty good. Why don't you go to 900 collect calls?" I'm like, 900? You talking about like the stuff in the back of a dirty magazine?
Dirty numbers?
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm in, right? I'm like, this got to be good because these people are weird, So they're calling in. They're like,
They're trying to dispute their bills?
Yeah, so
Did you
that-
get like slimy dudes
dude, I
calling?
get guys that had like $2,000 or $3,000 bills. I'm like, dude, that's like 30 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
what were you doing, right?
Yeah, it's like $1.99 a minute.
Yeah, dude, it actually was like, I think it was like $10 or $12 a minute,
Wow.
right? And people would call in, and so they call in and be like, I got this bill. I didn't make these phone calls. I think my phone was like, jacked or hijacked or like,
Of course.
they're like, somebody must have jacked it, stuck into my cable box. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. So what do you want me to do about that? Like, what do I do about that?
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to dispute it. I don't think I have to pay the bill. I said, if you can prove that didn't happen, I'll help you out. And
You're like, this isn't it.
nah, that wasn't it. And so, like, I'm sitting there, like, in between 900 dispute calls because it really wasn't that busy. There's not a lot of people disputing those calls because they're afraid to call in and talk about it, right?
It's kind of embarrassing.
So they just pay that high dollar bill for nothing.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting there doing pipe cleaning like animals with the older ladies there that do like crocheting. They taught me all kinds of like home ec style stuff. And this guy comes in, he's like, dude, my day job is installation. He's like, easy money. I'm like, okay.
Sales or, I mean, it was.
No, he was installing fiberglass bats.
Install.
Yeah, so
That's not easy money.
Well, he made it sound easy,
Right.
right? Joke was on me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, sign me up. That means I can get one job, not two jobs, because I was doing Aegis and working and cleaning a grocery store.
Right.
So it was like 3 hours in between the sleep. And so I went and applied, did that for, I don't know, 6-7 months. And the manager over there, he saw some potential. So he's like, dude, I need a production manager. So he promoted me up. And so I was doing a little bit of labor, but doing mostly production management.
Okay.
That's what really catapults me into the insulation industry. And it's like one thing after the next led me into growing in the industry to the point where you kind of get stuck.
Right.
It's one of those industries where it's like,
Well, when you get good at something too, you feel like, I guess I just got to invest more time into it.
Right.
When it shows promise.
well, once you kind of get in the rhythm of something that it's not your dream, but you get good at, you kind of just run with it.
Yeah.
And I just kept trying my damnedest to do better and better and better, right? Because of that constant thing that's ingrained in me to work as hard as humanly possible. Like it's the company's for me, right? It's my company. Even though I'm just an employee, I'm just a number.
Yeah.
But I would continue to worked my butt off, and to the point where I got promoted. Next thing I know, I'm in Texas as a GM. And so, I went through the process of, starting companies for people. I went through, being sales for people, production management for people. And it got to the point where I was like, you know what, if I'm going to work this hard and not feel like they appreciate me and I'm being, paid well, but I felt like my value wasn't quite there, like for what I was getting, for what I was putting in.
Yeah.
I was like, my wife, she came to me and she's like, why don't you start a spray foam company? She's like, you're good at it. You've been successful with it for everybody else. Why don't you do it for yourself? If that's truly what you want to do. And I said, it's not really what I want to do, but it's what I'm good at.
Yeah.
So I've always had kind of a entrepreneurial like mindset per se.
Right. I mean, you had started other companies before starting a spray foam.
Yeah. So, while working in the spray foam industry, I mean, I had a roofing company. We even did like mobile services for the spray foam industry, like fixing equipment, selling parts. So I dabbled in some stuff, right? And even to your low grade, like buying stuff off Craigslist and throwing some rims on it, or fixing a boat up and selling it, like whatever it took to put money in the bank to pay the bills is what I did. So I was always looking for something, a little quick flip or a side hustle. And so push came to shove. My wife decided to go to work. She was a stay-at-home wife, stay-at-home mom. She stayed home for 12 years. And we always wanted her to be home, but she decided that she would go to work and become a nurse. That way she'd make decent money and allow me to kind of follow my entrepreneurial dream. And so since I was already good at doing what I did, installation just made the most sense. And it's kind of what catapulted me into being a spray foam owner.
Right.
Installation company owner.
Now, I was right there with you. So I remember that point in time in your life when it was like, let's, scrounge together the money. Let's take a leap of faith and see if this works.
Right.
What were your fears at that time? I mean, you have to, you're putting all your savings into it and you really don't know. It's unsafe.
It's a great question, right? Because when you've hustled so hard and worked so hard for yourself and everybody else along the way, you actually don't feel fulfilled, but most importantly, don't believe in yourself.
Right.
Right? I had 10 people in my corner saying, yeah, you got this. You got this. I even had my best friend, Gray. He's like, dude, I'll make sure you got Whataburger. I'll make sure your family always has food.
The essentials.
Right? I had people, say, hey, you want me to invest? I'll invest now because I believe in you. And I'm like.
Now, I remember that. And that would have been the easy out. Why did you not take investments in the beginning when you were so scared of it failing?
Because I looked at it as not so much not wanting partners or anything like that, but if I was going to fail, I wanted to fail on my own.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't want a handout. I've never had a handout my whole life. I've always tried to work for what I've got.
Right.
And I felt like they believed in me enough to put the money up, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to. I had a good friend who helped me put the equipment together. So that did save a little bit of upfront cost because being in the spray foam business is not cheap. Now back when I started it, you're talking $40,000, $50,000 for a spray foam rig. Now it's $100 minimum.
Yeah.
It's $100 to $200 to $250. It depends on how you build it, but it's like gets more and more aggressive, right? So I get into this and I'm just like, yeah, I don't know if it's gonna work. I'm psyching myself out. So I'm scared, right? Because I'm not so much scared to fail because I'm like, I went into this debt free, right? But I felt like I was failing. If I failed, I failed everybody around me who believed in me.
Yeah.
But I didn't care about if I failed for myself. And I think that was one of the worst feelings is going into it. And a lot of people around me, and you can speak on it yourself, but I feel like everybody believed in me, but kind of like thought that I believed in myself too, because I kind of naturally just ran with it.
Yeah.
But I never did.
That's your kind of that's your personality, is that you go balls deep and just figure it out.
And there's a lesson in that, right?
Yeah.
People will historically, right, just jump into shit. They'll jump in Be like, you know what? I want to be a photographer. I want to be a painter. I want to be, just anything entrepreneur. And they just jump in feet first. A lot of them would like get in massive debt, right? Let me buy this $10,000 camera, right? I'm going to shoot this. I'm going to make $12,000 a week, right? They jump all in, but then they never believe in themselves, right? And then some of them don't even have people behind them pushing them. Like, yeah, you can do that. I had a cheerleading squad behind me, and I still didn't believe in myself.
I think that really makes all the difference, though, because everyone has, dreams, and they might start them, but then you get a point where you're discouraged, and you feel like, I don't want to put any more effort into this because I don't see it ever becoming something.
Right.
And what makes a difference is the people who overcome those thoughts and that point in time to, it sucks right now. I remember a point in time where you were driving it, you were spraying it, and it's just what you had to do.
And that's the thing. So when I went into it, dude, my support system at home was what mattered. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't give her enough credit just being a stay-at-home mom and wife. But, dude, being a nurse and then dealing with the kids at home and cooking dinner and cleaning and doing all that stuff, and it's like, I used to be like, oh, it's only 3 days a week, right? You're working, 36 hours. I do that in 2 days.
12-hour shifts.
Right. And it's like,
overnight, too.
Exactly. But meantime, I'm out there hustling, working, say 5 a.m. until sometimes 10 o'clock at night, right? And a lot of times we were like 2 trains a night, man, passing. She'd go off to work because she'd work nights, right?
Yeah,
and I never took into account like she was, like you got to sleep, right? Sleep during the day.
Yeah.
But even through all of that, she supported me and believed in me. She was like my biggest cheerleader. Always has been. She's seen something in me that not many people did.
Yeah. Those pecs are different women.
Dude, it's
great women.
Right? They were raised right, and they're amazing people.
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate to have a lot of them in my corner, right? Especially my wife. It was like going into it blind belief, right? Okay, I jumped in. Literally, like, I'd already been in the industry, so I was like, well, this should work, right? Mm-hmm. But I told myself that I will not take a customer from my previous employer. I will start from scratch. Well, you
wanted to separate yourself.
Right. I wanted to separate myself because, I built that last company for over 7 years, right? Almost 7 years. So I need to prove to myself that I can do this from zero and be my own hero, right?
Yeah.
But what happened was they didn't like that idea, right? They didn't they didn't like me not being there, right? Yeah. So I jump out the gate. I got 2 or 3 customers lined up, like brand new customers, people I went and seeked out, right? People I never worked for. And you're talking about 16-year history in this area, and it's like I had to not touch anybody, right? I had to go find new.
That's tough, man. You got to start fresh after having this whole book of business that you built over.
You build an entire book of business and start over, dude.
That's rough.
But you know what? It was exhilarating, right? Because I was challenging myself. I hadn't challenged myself in years because I was always at the top. Mm-hmm. I was running companies, right? I built them and ran them. Now I got to do it for myself because guess what? I'm responsible for payroll.
Right.
I'm responsible if I'm going to get a paycheck that week. Yeah. I'm responsible for every dollar.
Paying off all this equipment you just bought.
Dude, right? It's like, and so that was the crazy part. So we got into it and instant take off, man. Like, I don't even know how, right? All God willing. Because, dude, one after the next. I'm 3 months in, I had to build another rig. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, dude, what's going on, right? Like, okay. Usually most people are building a second rig like 3-4 years down the road.
Right.
Dude, I'm second rig. And I'm like,
looking at warehouses.
3-4 months in, like I signed a lease, for like a year on this first one. I'm like, that's not even enough space after, 3 months. Yeah. And it's like, dude, what am I going to do? Right. But I was like a one-man operation at the time because I tried to continue to run things like I have in the past, like be not so much a control freak, but if you want it done right, just kind of do it yourself mindset and not focus on allowing other people to help me. But I got consumed doing it. So we got instant success, right? And I still didn't feel proud or fulfilled. I just got caught up in the everyday grind of
how can I make
day to day.
Better and bigger and
Yeah, I fell into the trap, man.
Yeah.
I fell into the trap that like you got to go big or go home, right? It's kind of like I said it in the last filming, right? We threw a clip out there. It's like I set this bar, and people set this bar for me in the past. Well, I, honestly have set my own bars, and then I continue to jump them. And like I said last time, it's like I don't care how high it is, I'm gonna jump it, right?
Right.
Dude, that was my downfall. So we had quick, early on success. In the first 10 months of business, right, I did $700,000 more in sales than I did in my best year at the last company in 10 months.
Yeah.
That's how quick it took off. Like we became like just an overnight success. And it's like year after year, right? Year 3 comes around. Dude, my entire life is collapsing before my eyes, right? My relationship's tanking, my relationship with my wife, with my kids. Dude.
Being an entrepreneur, you kind of have to have this mindset of this is the only thing that matters.
Right.
If I want it to be successful, I have to put my all.
Right.
It comes before family, kids, yourself.
Right. And that's where we all fail, right? All of us entrepreneurs out there, we fail.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, I can speak on that to the people who aren't even starting to be an entrepreneur yet, but they have the mindset like, yeah, dude, I can do that. Right.
Right.
Which we want people to be that way. We want you to have a goal. We want you to have a dream. We want you to do it. But we don't want you to lose sight. Mm-hmm. Do not lose sight of what's important. And what's the most important thing, Eric? Family, right?
Yeah.
I lost sight.
Right.
Right? My wife preached it every day.
Yeah.
You're going to miss this. They're getting older. They're getting older, right? Tell me about my boys. 4 boys, right? They want to throw a ball with daddy. They want to ride their bike. They want to go on a family walk.
When you're in the thick of it, it's almost not as significant. You're just, I have to make this work or
Well, what happens is
it's going to fail.
Your mind manipulates itself, right? Mm-hmm. And I say it's the work of the devil, right? You fall into this trap of that you're going to be fulfilled if you can one day never leave your bank account, right? To me, that I had goals early on in my 30s or my 20s. If I didn't have $1 million in the bank account at 30, that was like my 10-year goal. When I turned 20, I was like, dude, $1 million in the bank by 30, Lambo, big ass house. That was my goal. Because I wasn't measuring it off the money part. I was like, those are the kind of things I want for myself to feel successful. But what wasn't in that goal? Having a happy family, a happy wife, right?
Those things are priceless.
They are. Because you know what? When your business fails, and 95% of the time they do, guess who is probably not there when it fails?
Right.
Your wife and your kids, because they divorced your ass. They literally will. It happens every day. An entrepreneur falls victim to the trap. They fall victim and get divorced. You can't expect your wife to sit there at home, tending to the kids,
waiting for you to fulfill your dreams.
Right. It's like it starts off as our dream, right? And my motivation has always been family, but I had a very misguided concept of what that meant. I thought that meant putting money in the bank account. She goes, pays a bill. She doesn't have to say, hey, honey, how am I going to pay this bill? Right? Because I did the paycheck to paycheck thing for a lot of years. But by year 3, I stopped bleeding my bank account. I didn't have to. I had no idea why I felt not fulfilled.
Right.
Right?
So at this point, you come to the realization that it's a success. You're buying a bigger warehouse, renting a bigger warehouse, more office space. You're buying new equipment. You're hiring people. Things are rocking and rolling.
Dude, three years in, we're 4 rigs deep.
Yeah.
We've moved twice at that point. We literally were about to buy our own property, and it's like it just kept piling on, right? So you go almost 3 years debt free, right? We're bringing in enough money with enough substantial growth and enough hard workers to pay for our equipment. Dude, 3 years in, we basically have quadrupled since then and stayed at 4 rigs.
Right.
Right. We started having to bring outside talent. But it just got so monotonous, and I got stuck. Right, I got stuck in like a time warp.
What's the next level? How do I make this bigger?
Right.
It's an endless pursuit.
And it is, because my background is taking companies from 0 to 15 million a year. I've been in mom and pops where they start off 500,000 on average in income, and I leave 15 million in income. Like, this is what I'm good at, you know? So it's like I walked into this not believing in myself. Next thing you know, we've done 20 million in revenue, right? I could not prepare myself for that, right? Because that was bigger than any success I ever had with anybody else I ever worked for. And I had nobody behind me to catch me while I was falling.
Yeah.
Dude, I fell in a deep, dark depression, right?
It's consuming.
Dude.
It takes all of you.
Dude, I got massively consumed.
When you're trying to one-man show it.
I did. And it's like I kept picking up the pieces, right? Picking it up, right? I picked up the pieces at work, but my wife kept picking up the pieces at home. You know how many times I had to tell my kids, tomorrow. We'll do that tomorrow. We'll go there tomorrow, right? I'll read you a book tomorrow, right? And then you learn on the flip side how many times your wife had to tell your kids that why daddy's not home, right? How do you tell your kid daddy's at work every day, right? They get to the point where like, does daddy even live here? You know what I mean? Like, and I tried to have the most amazing relationship with my boys, but if it wasn't my wife, dude, I don't know what kind of relationship I would really had. She, you know, she never lied to him, but she never really like said, hey, daddy's like a workaholic, right? You know, daddy's an entrepreneur stuck in the wrong views.
Chasing success.
Right.
And it's a never-ending bar of success.
Right.
You reach one level, you want the next. You reach that level, you want the next.
Exactly. So now I'm 18 years right now. I'm sitting here 18 years in this industry, right? I've got 12 years on my own. And
12 years and $20 million of a book of business.
yeah. And I'm like,
That's huge.
And I'm still looking at what's the next level. But guess what? 4 months ago, 5 months ago, dude, my life changed. I got hit by a freight train, dude. A spiritual freight train, right? God's like, dude, I'm going to give it to you, but I'm going to take it away. So literally the last 3 years, I've just been battling myself. You know, my own deep, dark thoughts, right? Stuck in just like a shell of a human.
Which most people, well, not most, but a lot of people go through. But when you're managing this huge thing, it's got to be that much more taxing.
It is, because guess what? Remember when I said my heart is my biggest downfall? Well, I care about the people that work for me.
Yeah.
Right? If I fail, they're going to fail, right? They can go get new jobs, right?
They fail, their families fail.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, we pride ourselves on people sticking around because we take care of them. You know, I got, you know, betrayed. I got, you know, run over, abused. Like, when I say abused, it's not physical abuse, but it's like, Walter will do it. Walter would do it. Walter would do it. You know, because I would, right? Nobody else would take the extra, you know, time to do that type of stuff.
Right.
And sure, it may be more successful in their eyes, but then they abuse you, right? And so, but that started happening here too, right? You get to the employees start abusing you, right? To the point where they know that you have such a good heart that they can, you know, wreck your shit. They can, you know, start
Take advantage everywhere they can.
Right. You know, we ran into so many hardships after year 3. Like, you know, we had $100,000 theft in 1 year.
Right.
Right. We started having equipment stolen.
Just because you were so trusting.
Yeah. Right. So, but that's where the abuse comes from, right? So the people close to you start abusing you, right? But you're a shell of a human. You're not paying attention. You know? So in the last 4 or 5 months, dude, when my life has changed, I'm like, I got to do a podcast. I need to help save people from the mistake that so many people like me make.
Right.
Right?
Share your knowledge.
That's what it's about. You know, it's, you can do $20 million, right? But I didn't feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
I didn't feel anything. You know, I could literally buy.
Which is so big because people, you know, we get lost in thinking that once I get this money, I'll be happy. That's
Right.
everything. That's all I need.
And
You get there and it's it's not what you thought it was.
No.
It's,
But you don't know, right?
Yeah.
Because you're stuck.
right.
You know, because you start getting, it's like think about your work history, right? You go get a job. Let's just say the guy goes gets a job at Taco Bell, right? It's easy for him. He actually likes the people that are around him. He gets in a groove.
Fast food were some of my favorite jobs.
Right?
They're fun.
Yeah, you go stick some food in the back.
Messing
man,
around,
man.
you get free food.
Dude,
They're just
Subway
not
Jared
financially rewarding.
was bullshit because I got fat working at Subway, dude. Like I put on like 30 pounds eating Subway.
You're eating a foot of bread
Right.
with every
Yeah,
sandwich.
exactly. I'm like,
There's no way that's happening.
I'm like,
That's healthy.
okay, if he's doing a 6-inch, he's
Yeah.
lying, right?
Right.
He's doing like
There's no way. No one's full
he's
off.
he did surgery. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what his deal was besides weird stuff.
Little girls.
Right. It's like evil man, right?
Yeah.
But I got fat on Subway, dude, and I worked Burger King, I worked Subway. Like, dude, fast food is great, right? But you go get a job at Taco Bell.
Yeah.
It's easy, right? You like the people that's around you, right? You're not really working hard.
No, you clock in, you clock out, and that's it. You're
Exactly.
done.
So guess what? There's people there who stay there for years and years and years because it's easy.
Yeah.
You and I both know people who worked the same place for 18, 20 years. It wasn't their dream. It wasn't their goal. But guess what? Complacency will keep you there. And there's nothing wrong with that because there's a lot of people will go into something that it was not their dream, right?
But it's safe.
It's safe,
Yeah.
right? There's a lot of entrepreneurs out there, right? Who are entrepreneurs in spirit, but they want to own a bakery. They want to own a taco shop, food truck, right? You got me talking about food, so I'm getting hungry,
Yeah, I'm
right?
starving.
So it's like, but they want those dreams, but they don't know how to get there. But
Right.
guess what? They're going to get there one day, and some won't because they don't have anybody mentoring, right? Or the wrong person mentoring.
But I almost feel like it's almost a personality trait or like ingrained in you. If you want it bad enough, you're going to make it happen.
Right. I think you will. I think people also get stuck in the process of, I can't do that. I don't have $500. I don't have $1,000. But actually the biggest thing that kept me from ever doing my own was how are we going to live? Right. If I don't work and she's staying home,
How are you paying yourself?
how are we going to live? Because, excuse me, if it doesn't work, I mean, you know what I'm saying? So you take a risk on yourself, but how are you going to pay your bills? Because the everyday American does not have more than like $4,000 to $5,000 in their savings account.
That's being generous.
That is being, you know how long it took me to get $4,000 in my savings account, dude?
Yeah.
Dude, I think it was like the year before I started this. You know what I mean? And then I drained all of it, and I think I had like $2,000 left when I started the company.
Yeah.
But I knew my wife was going to go to work. And we were in an okay spot where our bills weren't astronomical, but we weren't eating. We were paying the mortgage and the car payment, but we weren't going to eat if I wasn't successful. And honestly, I didn't even think about that. I just said, you know what? You're good at this. You can do it. Even though I didn't believe in myself, I still pep talked myself. But the people out there who never take the risk, right? No risk, no reward. I want them to take that chance. I want them to believe in themselves, right? Especially if they don't have anybody, but I want them to come talk to us, right?
Yeah.
Come talk to somebody who is literally pleading to you right now.
Somebody who walked that path already.
Right. I've walked that path. I don't look at my bank account all the time, right? I should, but I don't.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a good feeling in a way. But, dude, I lost so much. My son graduates next week,
Right.
right? My
So
baby
do you
boy.
feel like you don't even really know who
Right.
that person is? Like
Dude,
you
it's
don't
like-
have a real connection with them.
It's like by the time I got my shit together, dude, and we're talking 5 months ago, right? He's already 18.
Right.
My poor son lost so much of his father through this process. But it wasn't even just when I did it for myself, dude. His whole childhood, dude, his whole life with me. I've been chasing something.
Right.
And I was chasing for other people. I was chasing success, right? Not entrepreneurship, but success because I treated every company I worked for like it was my own. But people want to follow their dreams. I want people to follow their dreams, but I do not want people to fall into the trap that most entrepreneurs fall into.
I think it's It's more than just success, though. People want recognition. They want to feel satisfied, like people admire them. Of course, they want the financial success, but they want that feel. They think it's going to bring that feeling of, okay, I've made it. I'm somebody. I'm complete. But I don't think it ever really gets to that. That's like an inner thing that you have to find.
Yeah, and that's what I'm telling you. It's for somebody who did get the success, right? I got the success quick, fast. Excuse me. And I wasn't mentally prepared, right?
It's taxing.
It was taxing, and like it will haunt me forever. My family's loss, right? Mm-hmm. It's like my wife put it to me one time, not too long ago. She said, "It's like it's almost easier to be divorced than to be married to somebody that's never home." And that hits hard,
yeah,
right? But then that makes me think about all the people who did do this, right? Who followed their dream or just stumbled into something like me, did really well at it, but lost sight, right? You never lose sight of your family because you can go broke. You can fail 50 companies. Mm-hmm. Guess who's there? Your kids, your wife,
right?
Your mom, your dad, your grandparents, like the people
I think
who
about
love
that
you
all the time. When you're on your deathbed, none of this stuff is going to matter.
No.
It's just those people in that room.
Yeah,
that's all that matters.
Right. So you're telling me that you're not going to take your Lambo to the funeral while you're dead?
Oh, I'm taking it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
be buried in it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Dude. I mean,
with my Gucci shoes on.
Right? Like in the Gucci store, right?
Yeah.
but that's the thing. Everybody has a different measurement of success, right?
Right.
We know people that, he's got a Lambo, right? And this, so here's an example. The other day I was online, and this entrepreneur posted his ad, and he's basically he's similar to us. Like he just wants to speak the truth, right? And he wants to show you how to do it,
right?
And he said the guy posted up with a Lamborghini has 2 million followers, right? And he put a link to a guy's page, right? The guy's page, he's a complete asshole. He's like, get off your fucking ass, go buy an apartment building with the $50 you have in your bank account, and you can't get, formula for your baby, but go buy this apartment building, and then you know what? In a year, refinance that apartment building, buy another one, because I've got a private jet, I've got a Lambo, I've got all this shit, right? But people follow that, right?
Well, it's a clickbait strategy. They see the Lambo and they're locked in. They're
right.
Like, this guy has to have the answers.
Right. Oh, absolutely. But then this other guy, right, in this post, who's plugging his homepage, he's got 200,000 followers. But his message is clear. So what does that tell you about what the world wants right now? What are they measuring their success on?
Yeah.
Fancy cars, watches. Dude, I would give up everything I own.
But you can't. It's so hard to change your perspective until those things are available to you and you realize they don't bring you the satisfaction that you thought they would.
Right. Because you know what? Every single person reinvents the damn wheel, right? It happens. I have been told by people over the years that, hey, you know what? Especially my wife, she's like, you know what? You're going to miss this. They're only young for so long. I was like, I don't have regrets. I live with no regrets, right? Bullshit. Dude, I cry now.
Yeah.
I cry over these regrets, right? I'm like, I would literally, you name something I own, I give it to you if you can give me 10 years back with my kids. Mm-hmm. Right? I give up all of everything that I have right now. I will literally donate this entire company to charity if you can give me 10 years back with my kids.
Yeah.
I don't care. But you're right. People who have not yet had that financial freedom, they're still measuring it based off of money.
Right.
Money is success. It's not. You know what I mean? It's not. It's just not.
I think the real success is freedom.
Freedom, yeah. Financial freedom, right? But guess what?
Not only financial freedom, but freedom with your life. To do, to not be, you can have financial freedom, be able to afford your bills,
right?
But still, you're putting in.
So you saying as far as like vacations, like you have your own hour set, like to elaborate.
Do whatever you want with your life.
Okay, so
think about that.
Right, so for you, right? Mm-hmm. So what's your dream?
What's my dream?
Yeah, give me your dream. Right now, Eric, you have all the money. Mm-hmm. What are you gonna do?
want some property.
Okay.
And I want to do whatever tickles my fancy that day.
All right. What's your entrepreneur dream?
My what?
What if you can do one business right now, what would you do?
I don't know.
You don't know?
That's tough.
Okay.
I'd like to sell paintings. I'd like to
All right.
to make a taco business.
All right.
I mean,
East
just a
tacos.
couple of, come on by.
All right.
We'll hook you up.
I've had those tacos, dude. I'm
They're
like,
bomb, right?
nobody has the tacos like you tacos, right?
Exactly. I mean, just things that make me happy and make other people happy.
Right. How many people do you know that have the ability to sit on their ass? Right? They have land, they have property, and they're just out there doing whatever tickles their fancy. Name one guy right now.
Nobody.
Right? You think Mleczko in his private jet
I mean, that's
is
why
sitting
it's a
on his
dream.
ass anymore?
A dream is supposed to be.
Right. But yet he's out there preaching. Buy an apartment, right? I got the Lambo. I've got 3 private jets, right? I've got all of this stuff. I can literally get to this appointment in Malibu from New York today and still get back home and play tennis or polo. Guess what? He's not doing those things. He is going from appointment to appointment, meeting to meeting, right? And then he's jumping off his jet and then preaching this shit to people,
Right.
right? This isn't a dig, dude. But guess what? You're motivating people based off false ideas, right? I want you to have the Lambo. Our guest next week owns a fucking Lamborghini. 2 of them. And he's in the spray foam business, but guess what? He's going to give you a whole new perspective of free time, family time. That's why he's on the show, because you know what? He did something I didn't do. He's got time, right? I don't know who mentored him or showed him the way, but he has such an abundance of time with his family. And he's as big as us, if not bigger, right?
I
So,
think that comes from, like when we started, you were so, like you said, you wanted to have your hands on everything because you want to make sure it's done right. I think as you grow and you want to get that time back, you have to delegate and kind of just put that responsibility on someone else.
how's that working for us?
You built the machine, just let someone else be the cog in it.
Right. But then, so when you go into like owning a business, there's so many different situations,
Of course.
right? Cash flow, right? That's one. Being able to finance, having a good banker, right? Dude, my banker has never called me once. We ran $20 million through there and more. They haven't called me once, right?
Yeah. You should at least get some tips, treats, or something.
Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, you're using my money to finance other people's stuff, right? But you should have a lot of people in your portfolio, right? You should have all this help. But dude, we've hired so many people and nobody wants to work.
Yeah.
People want to get paid $100,000 a year. They don't want to leave their house, right? So literally, you interview 10 people, you get half a person.
I mean, to be fair, it's not an easy job.
No, it's not an
It
easy
takes
job.
a special person that's willing to.
But every entrepreneur is facing that.
Yeah.
Every company right now is facing that problem, right? So you take the normal stress of owning a company, and then now let's create post-pandemic stress, right? Where nobody wants to work, or everybody thinks their value is so high. Why do they think their value is so high? Because somebody's got a damn Lambo and owns a taco stand, right? That Lambo's rented, right? Everybody's doing it for clout. You've seen that private airplane on Instagram that all
You can rent?
yeah,
photos?
you rent the back portion of the plane,
Yeah.
right? It's a half a plane.
Right.
What are they doing it for?
That's genius. The guy who came up with that?
Oh,
That's an
no,
entrepreneur.
absolutely, right?
Yeah.
Exactly, but that's exactly it. But everybody wants to flash, right? So all of these kids, and my kids included, they literally live off likes. They live off everybody else's life, right?
Recognition.
Exactly. So what do you think an entrepreneur does before they become an entrepreneur?
Just chasing recognition.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Recognition and shit.
Right.
Right.
Gotta get more stuff.
Right, exactly.
Need more stuff.
Dude, I spent $200,000-$300,000 a year on toys, right?
Yeah.
In 1 year.
Yeah.
I used those toys like twice,
Right.
and then I sell them, right? Because it's like
Then
I
I
can't.
rolled them.
And then yeah, of course, and then you try to destroy them, right, in 50 seconds. But guess what?
Yeah.
Did I feel fulfilled?
No, of
You know?
course not.
And you know what? Half the toys I've ever bought are for me to have time with my family. Did I have more time with my family? No. Did I hire more people to delegate? Yeah. Did that work out? No. Right? Because nobody's ever going to do it like you're going to do it. That's why most entrepreneurs can never leave. Right? Take some of these motivational speakers. Their entire platform is them. They can't sell that business. Right? I did a business evaluation on this company. Dude, I lost $1.5 million in evaluation purely because I am the business.
Yeah.
Dude.
Without you, it's nothing.
Right. So how does that make you feel? Right? You work your ass off, right? To maybe one day sell it. Right? Maybe. That's if it doesn't go out of business, right? But most people that get to our size can be sold. But now you have a whole nother problem. Now you got to hire somebody who's going to do it just as well as you are and not ruin what you've built. Because guess what? That's the worst part. You lost all that time with your family, right? Focused on all the wrong ideals to sell a company who's based off of you.
Right.
So, you know, what do you have? Like, literally, what do you have? And that's the thing. Like, I want land, right? I want 5,000 acres, right?
Will you let me just post up and do what I want on it?
Dude, yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm going to put a half a cockpit, you know.
That's all I need.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
You know, dude, I'll take you back to my 20s. I had a dream board.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, dude, this is like 40-something years ago, right? You know, hey, calm down. I'm 37, dude. So, and you're like 2 years younger than me, okay? So you might look like a child, but you're a man-child, right? He shaved for this, guys. He shaved for this.
Absolutely.
He really did, right?
Good cheekbones.
He missed a spot on the left.
Good skin.
Right. Dude, it's not fair.
Yeah.
Right? That's because your stress life's not. See, you're welcome. I made your life less stressful.
I don't think so. It's not stressful.
You know what we should talk about?
I don't weather like other people do.
You know, these people are listening to me. But what you should do is tell them when I tried to bring you in to run it, to help me, and how we both got fucked. Like,
It was a nightmare.
right? It's like,
I could not. There's so many different avenues to focus on that it completely consumed me. It ruined my work-life balance and destroyed me.
right.
It's awful.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, I don't want to do that to people, right? And when you're coming up in the business and you're learning, right? I had to learn for myself, dude. I had no mentors, right? I've had people, once you have money, dude, people come out the woodwork and want to be your mentor.
Of course.
You know, hey, let's show you how you buy this and buy that and buy this and buy that, right? That's the only mentors that show up for me right now.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing this, right? Because I hired people to try to do this, to try to help me, to try to make more time for my family, right? Especially in the last 5 months. And honestly, I had to just stop. I had to just start giving everything to God, dude. I had to literally back off and stop worrying about the day-to-day. That alone gave me time with my family,
Right.
right? I've hired people. People quit. You know, we're continuously hiring people to try to find more management, do that kind of stuff, right? But literally just my mindset change and just being like, look, God, you got this. Let's make it happen, right? I'll do everything you want. You know, whatever you need, giving thanks every day, right? As soon as I changed that mindset 5 months ago, dude, I personally, for myself, I stopped worrying about it.
Yeah.
So, but in the grand scheme of things, you can do this if you listen.
So with your knowledge that you have now, what would be your advice for someone who wants to become an entrepreneur, chase their dreams, and how do they not succumb to the same things that you did? How do they keep a good work-life balance? How do they not chase an unreachable goal?
You know the number one thing I would tell people?
What?
Do it with your wife. If you got a wife, involve her.
It depends on your wife. Don't listen to that.
No, I don't think so, right?
Yeah.
Because I think wives can play an amazing role. Because you know what, like my wife and I, we have this joke that my head's always in the clouds, and she'll be my dream crusher, right? But dude, that saved us from like financial struggles, right? Yeah. She's kept me out of the clouds. I would have had 15,000 acres next to Kanye West if I had my way.
Right.
You know what I mean? We would have been slinging Yeezys together. It's there's always something, because I was always that mindset, dude. We can rent RVs, we can rent jet skis, we can buy boats and rent those out. We can buy timeshares, we can do this, this, and this. She's like,
Right. You got enough to focus on.
right, don't do that. But if people go into it with their spouse, legitimately, if they involve their spouse, one, you're gonna stay connected to that relationship.
Right.
Two, they're going to help ground you from spending too much time at work because they're able to help you.
So what if you're not married? Would it just be having a partner?
Depending on the business, right? Obviously, if you're a freelance photographer, it doesn't make sense, right? So, like, if you're a freelance photographer or something that's a individual-based business,
Right.
I say focus on your time management, right? Don't focus on I need $5,000 a day. Focus on, okay, I'm gonna go do this gig. Takes me 5 hours to edit that. This is how much time I can do. So I can do 3 gigs a week and still have Saturday, Sundays off.
Yeah.
Or if I'm gonna work Saturday, Sunday, I'm taking Tuesday, Wednesday off. You know what I'm saying? Like, make sure you set it 2 days a week to your family, like minimum, and try to be home by 5. Right? There's realtors out there, right, dude? A realtor, that's an entrepreneurship, right? Because everybody wants to look at a house on the weekends, on a holiday, at night.
Of course. Their free time.
Dude, at some point we'll have a realtor on the show so they can tell us their struggles, right? Because how do you balance that? Most people can balance their work life. But in most trades, you have to want to. You have to want to balance it, right? And I don't know if it was me, if it was about not wanting to balance it, or if I just got so consumed with like, dude, if I work 2 more hours tonight, that's the last thing I do the next morning, right? Because guess what? That doesn't work. You can work 2 more hours right
It's a
now.
never-ending job.
It is, because now when I stop thinking about it and stop stressing about things, it got a little bit easier to manage, right? I got happier. I'm happier than I've ever been in the last 5 months of my entire life, right? It has nothing to do with money. I literally sold half of the toys that I had.
Right.
It's not even about that. I don't care because I'm spending time with my family. I'm reading bedtime stories to my youngest kids, right? And it sucks because my oldest kids really needed that.
They got gypped.
They got gypped.
Yeah.
Their mom stepped up, but dad didn't. Sure, they got cars. They got clothes. They had a great life.
But are they going to remember those things? Are they going to remember those moments?
No, because I can tell you personally that my dad worked a lot, and I don't have any ill to somebody that works that hard, but he never took me fishing. I've got trauma there, dude. Legitimately trauma for myself because I did not have a father figure in my life to go do certain things.
Yeah.
When him and I lived in Europe, it was just me and him for a little while. Dude, when we first started, ice cream shop every night. We'd ride a bike, go get Italian ice cream. Amazing. I still remember that. I can still taste it right now.
What was your flavor?
I don't know.
What?
I don't know, it was white, chocolate on it.
It was
Like, I don't know.
white ice cream
I can't
flavor?
think about it right now, right? I'm just like, and part of that's because it's emotional to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
So it's hard to think about an ice cream flavor.
You're remembering the experience.
Exactly. So I'm reminiscing as we're talking about it because, like, that's a fond memory of mine. And I have several of those with my father. But my dad had to work, right?
Yeah.
He was working, right? And he worked for somebody. He was never an entrepreneur. But he still falls victim. And that's what's crazy about this, right? Everything we're preaching right now isn't just entrepreneurs. People are workaholics. They're working for the man. They're working for themselves.
They're chasing something.
They are.
Some
For
kind of
what?
satisfaction.
What?
I don't know.
That's the question,
They're all
right?
empty.
But that's why
They're chasing something.
That's the point of having guests.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's the point. Because we get perspectives from everybody else.
I'm sure everyone else will be a different reason.
Yeah. But that's what we need. We need to talk to those people and say, hey, what can we tell this audience? What is your biggest mistake? Right? Over the course of the show, right? Months and years to come. Like, you're going to hear more tidbits and more information. And then we'll get to a point too where we can help create mentorship programs to help people not struggle making that choice, right? We want people to follow their dreams. We just want them to not lose sight of their entire life.
Yeah, for sure.
Because there's this quote I saw not too long ago that somebody said to me. They said, think about your life this way. Think about all the people who would cry at your funeral. That's the importance of life.
I think about that all the time.
Right? If you have people who are not going to cry at your funeral and you know it, right? They're not that important to you, right? It's like these followers on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Oh, I've got 2 million followers, right? How many of those are going to cry for you?
Right.
Unless you're Michael Jackson, none of them, right? Because they're just following you. You know, half of them are bots. But people love that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they love that.
That just goes back to the satisfaction, recognition. It's like we're looking for this outside love,
Right.
and appreciation.
And that's the beauty part of this journey that we're going to go on, Eric. Mm-hmm. We're going to put my kids on the show.
Oh, really?
Dude, we're going to put
Poor
my
kids.
kids, right? So we're talking 18, 16, 14, 12, right? So we're going to get perspective. But you know what's better? I think the way we'll end like one of these shoots in like 3 or 4 weeks, we're going to put my wife on it. And I already told her this the other night. I was like, honey, I want you on the show. She's like, I don't think that's a good idea. And I'm like, you know, she's like, I don't think it's a good idea. I said, why? She's like, you're not going to like what I have to say. I said, honey, you've been telling me it for 21 years since we've been together. I just didn't listen.
But I think in this setting, she would be able to kind of elaborate on her feelings and
She's
ideas.
She'll be balling in a minute thinking about it.
You think so?
I'll be balling because she can be ripping me apart. We should already know.
I don't know. We should wait a while to have a show
No,
where
we need
everyone's
that.
balling.
We need that, right?
Okay.
We need that because you know what? We need the people out there who are willing to listen to us to, you know, even 30 minutes of this, right? Listen to the struggles of a work-life balance,
Sure.
right? Go get that million. Go get that Lambo. You know, sometime I'm going to have that too, right? But not without family time.
Yeah.
So that's where it comes down to.
Absolutely.
I don't, yeah, we can't give them all the information.
Right.
In
You
one
gotta wait till
episode.
the next one.
Yeah. So, because, you know, our producer Friday, he's probably looking at the clock. He's like, oh, you know what? You just said work-life balance. I got to get home. He's like, I got this bum-ass knee from the basketball game last night.
Right.
And he's like, dude, I got to get home to my wife, my kids. And I'm like, you know what? All right, you take your bum-ass home.
Yeah.
Right?
We'll close it down for him.
Yeah, exactly. This one's dedicated to you, Friday.
I got so much on my plate, you know I can't wait. Bet not hit my line unless my money on the way. I get all my takes out.